All right, welcome to the podcast. I am hanging out with my friend Bill McKenzie. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, thank you. How are you?
Good, yeah. Thanks for coming in. So
Sure.
I should let people know, Bill McKenzie, CEO of Foothills Creamery. You've had some big roles in your life, eh?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Big roles in smaller companies,
Yeah.
I guess was a better way to say it.
I think one of the things I was thinking about is you've been responsible for some, I guess, locally at least, like iconic brands. Like Foothills has been around forever.
Yeah.
You're
1969.
yeah, you were leading Big Rock for quite a while. Wild Rose. So yeah,
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky.
no doubt.
Yeah.
A fun little journey. Okay, so your name comes up in conversation quite a bit, and there was two reasons that I really wanted to reach out to you. So one was just what you're doing at Foothills, because it just seems like I don't know if you want to say you're recreating it, reimagining it, but I feel like you're doing things at a very traditional company that are probably fairly unique to the industry and to the company. So I wanted to really talk about how you've managed to do all the stuff you've done. And then the other reason is, this is a true story. I was on a road trip and the song Gin and Juice,
The Gourds.
the Gourds
Yeah.
came on, and fully like not edited. Like I don't know what station I was listening to, but it came on, and the guy I was talking that I was with, he turned. He's like, he had never heard the song, and I'm like, oh, this makes me think of Bill McKenzie.
Remember, that was when I was on the podcast.
Yeah, 100%. So as soon as I took that as a sign, and I was like, okay, I gotta connect with you. So thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
I just appreciate you inviting me. This
Yeah.
is fantastic.
So let's talk. Obviously, I want to talk a lot about kind of your journey to how you got to where you are, but I want to talk about Foothills first to just kind of establish what it is. Like I think people that live in Calgary and Alberta kind of see it as somewhat of an icon of the community, but maybe just explain what it is and how you ended up coming on board.
Sure. Foothills is a dairy processor, butter and ice cream. 1969, it was founded by a gentleman named Don Bayrak, and Don ran the company through till 2018. So very cool
Oh, wow.
story. Very nice man, and kind of ahead of its time in a lot of ways too. The Foothills started as mainly just butter,
Yeah.
and eventually got themselves into ice cream, but went at the channel where you go to a scoop shop. So you didn't really see Foothills in very many grocery stores, if
Right.
any. And but if you were taking the kids out, or your mom and dad were taking you out for ice cream, odds are it was a Foothills ice cream.
Right.
So very similar to the beer business, where we built the brands on premise at a bar having a draft.
Mm-hmm.
Don built his Foothills business and the ice cream brand by the scoop shops.
Yeah.
And it's just some really great stories, and also kind of like craft beer as well. He had a lot of different flavors, and the company's had a lot of different. They have 63 flavors right now of ice cream, and
Yeah.
we have some sherbets and some sorbets and all that too. But I think perfect business to have one brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so efficient that way.
Yeah.
So once again, we're kind of deliberately inefficient that way, but it makes for a real fun company, and there's a lot of varieties to try.
Right.
And the scoop shop customers that we're lucky to work with, that's what they appreciate. They appreciate having so much choice.
Yeah. So you're in the beer industry or the beverage industry for 32 years, is that right?
Yeah.
So how did you make that transition then, or why? Like you've mentioned, you've already compared it to the beer industry a couple of times. Is that kind of where it came from? Was there an obvious kind of similarity between, what you had done in the past and what you could potentially do with a brand like Foothills?
Yeah, I thought so. Not as much as I thought. I thought it was going to be a very smooth transition over.
Right.
The sales and marketing side are very similar.
Yeah.
You don't need beer. You don't need ice cream, but you want them.
Right.
Okay. It's an indulgent category. So to succeed in those categories, you have to have a world-class product.
Right.
And you have to have an authentic story.
Yeah.
And I thought, for sure, getting into the ice cream business was going to be very similar. And also, especially here in Alberta, you have the same customer base. The
Yeah.
grocery stores and as I said, the parallels between the bar business and beer and the ice cream scoop shop business
Yeah.
in what I'm doing now. So there's a lot of similarities to that. What I underestimated though was just the complexity behind the scenes and the Canadian dairy industry and
Oh, okay.
access to butter fat and the raw materials needed and everything else involved with that. So I certainly underestimated the challenges there.
Yeah.
Um, and so then why did I get involved? Foothills was purchased in 2018 by Western Investments, Scott Tanis's group, and ATB Private Equity. And like any new purchase or purchase when the owner operator is no longer with the company, a lot of knowledge goes out.
Right.
And so for the first 2 or 3 years with post acquisition, they had some turnover, regrettable turnover in some roles in the finance department and obviously in my role as well. And once we sold Wild Rose to Sleeman's, I was obligated to stick around for a year for the integration. So right around that timing, they gave me a call and said, we'd like to come and talk to you
Yeah.
about possibly settling things down at the company a bit.
Yeah.
And I was able to do that. So
That's cool.
well, maybe not. I'm still trying to do that.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Yeah.
never really settled, but
So
on our way.
2021, you were,
Yeah.
is that when you got on? So you're 4 years in now. So
Yeah.
it's funny. Hey, you still feel like you're on the learning curve still.
Yeah. I think I always will. It's just still a bit of that imposter syndrome too. Like,
Yeah.
why am I running this thing?
Yeah.
But no, we're turning we're happy where we're at right now.
Yeah.
There's just so much opportunity ahead of us.
Yeah.
And you talked a bit about the industry and maybe things are different. I would say the industry in general in Canada hasn't had a lot of news making innovation
Yeah.
or wow factor for a while.
Yeah.
And in travels, you go to grocery stores if you're in the States or something, I certainly do, and you look at the dairy aisles, it's a big difference of what people are consuming and buying and the choices they have in the US.
Yeah.
So I think there's a huge opportunity for us here in
Yeah, it's interesting. It's exciting to watch because just watching your team kind of like it's not a company I'd ever followed before, right? But then when you got on, I'm like, okay, I really want to pay attention. And then just some of the people you brought on and just seeing, because I wouldn't have thought that, but you're totally right. There's such an opportunity. I hate the word disruption, but to change things up, I guess, in the industry, right?
Yeah.
That so is that kind of the exciting part of the job?
Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
And there's parts of every company and every team I've been on that I wish, you could just take that part and because I've been, like we said, I'm in some great companies. I've been very lucky to work with some fantastic people. Joining Foothills, I don't think I've ever worked for a company that has as much opportunity ahead of it because, in the craft beer business, you don't want to get that big.
Right.
Okay. You just want to be a part of the community. You got to pay your bills and you want to do okay there, but you never had aspirations of being, a big major national or international player. And in the ice cream and butter business, there are opportunities for us. And Foothills is a much bigger company than the Wild Roses and the Big Rocks back in the day. So
Right.
the opportunity is that much bigger.
Yeah.
And with that, it's harder to get to. You can't turn it as quick.
Right.
But when it does, it's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing right now.
That's cool. So the three companies that I was curious about. So you worked for Molson. You started that in the 80s, did you say?
Yeah, they hired me in my second year of university. So
Nice.
I was on a beer scholarship.
Yeah, that's awesome. I too was on a beer scholarship for a couple of years in university. How long were you there for?
Ever.
Oh, it is 100%. It is it was the best 2 years. I won't say the best 2 years of my life because my wife and children might be watching, but it was definitely in the top 10.
Absolutely, yeah. I would say the same. I started in '88. After the merger with Carling's, I was in the U.S. I went to grad school in the States, and it was good timing because there wasn't going to be any jobs after a merger. There's, obviously,
Right.
some folks lost their jobs. So they weren't going to bring in a young guy on. And after the dust settled, I got a call to come back, and I'd already graduated, so it worked back. So I joined back in '95, I think it was, and then in Sudbury. I'm from Northern Ontario.
Yeah.
Very proud to be from Northern Ontario. And then had to move to Toronto, which you have to do in big companies like that. You got to put your time in. So I went into marketing. I was on the Molson Canadian, I Am Canadian team. So the Rant, which when everyone's waving the Canadian flag, more so back then. And now all of a sudden we're doing it again, thank God. But that commercial resonates strong today,
Yeah.
as strong as it did 27 years ago.
Isn't that funny? Hey, how it, yeah, that's,
Jeff Dixon was the actor for it, and it was just cool. My role in that was to bring it to on-premise into venues. So you'd book Rexall Place up in Edmonton. You'd have either Jeff or an actor looking like him just stand up in the middle of an intermission or face off, and then do the rant. And it just got huge reception to it.
What year was that came out? Was that 99?
Yeah, it was 99.
Yeah, because I remember that would have been the year then that I got hired, because I remember being in Jean Jewell's office just as I was getting hired, and she was like, "Oh, want to see this?" Like, it was just kind of like,
I'm not
just about to get launched and stuff like that. I'm like, "Oh, that looks really cool."
Was cool.
And I think I wore like every case of beer I think came with like a rolled up "I Am Canadian" T-shirt. I think that was my wardrobe for the summer.
You weren't the only one.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody. Yeah. Just the clothing and all the stuff that was out there. Like, basically, my kids are wearing my old beer stuff from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. So with that, did you have any idea? Because I was, like you said, with patriotism being what it is, I've seen a lot of that clip, that commercial, and it's hard to believe that it's as old as it is now.
Yeah.
And I've seen him get interviewed a couple of times, and just, did you have any idea that would be kind of the iconic commercial that it became?
I thought it was going to be a commercial that people remembered.
Yeah.
But to the extent, no, of course not.
Yeah.
But when you're in the moment, you don't really appreciate when you're in the moment, because you're so busy trying to make the most of it, because you only have such a small window to get a bang out of an ad or a promo campaign.
Yeah.
And, so we worked it, and made sure we got that everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had no idea that it would be, I think that message you always hope would resonate forever.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit surprised that they didn't just keep on playing off of that as well. But, new marketing guys come in and everyone's got new ideas and all that. But
how much is it like that? That's because that is a good point. Like, sometimes people change things up, for the sake of change. It's like, well, if whatever they were doing can't be good, because if I'm saying it's good, then what am I going to do? So it's like they almost want to, like, there's almost sometimes change for the sake of change, which is a lot of times when you see companies kind of lose their identity. How, like, I guess in your career, how have you been able to balance that? Like, because you come into these new companies, or these big companies, established companies, and you're trying to put kind of a stamp on it, but at the same time kind of honoring what they've done.
Nothing is worse than the new guy coming in thinking everybody before him was stupid, or didn't care as much, or people thinking that they're the only one that can solve a problem. I think that's a recipe for disaster, and you see it a lot. You see a lot in different. You see a lot in marketing. Unfortunately, because to your point, why would you bring me in if everything you had was already good, type of thing?
Yeah.
But what I think people miss is there's always some equity, value, learning of what was done to get you there.
Yeah.
So for me, joining Foothills, it's been around, like I said, same as me, 1969 is when I was born. Like, there's so many things that were done right.
Yeah.
So it would be foolish to go and do a total 360 on what worked for them for the past. So I think, my role coming into that role, was the same at Wild Rose and same at Big Rock, is learn why you became successful. Mm-hmm. What can you move forward with? What was maybe not allowing you to be successful, and how can you maybe move away from that without completely deviating from it, because those companies didn't survive for that long and succeed for that long without doing a lot of things right. Yeah,
absolutely. So when did you join Big Rock then? So how long were you at Molson, and then was it just a transition right to Big Rock? Or
no, I went to Diageo. So after the Coors merger, I got recruited to go to Diageo. And so Diageo, for those that don't know, it's Canada's largest beverage alcohol. So brands like Smirnoff, Crown Royal, Johnny Walker, Bailey's, Guinness. Yeah. I'm missing a bunch too, but everything.
Yeah, totally.
And so I got to go, and I was director of sales for Western, for the Prairies. And probably the most established, like, that company was buttoned down.
Yeah.
So I didn't fit in at first, because I came from the beer world, where it was kind of, hey, and this was way more way more formal,
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah.
But man, I learned a ton, like from forecasting and just managing a huge portfolio because we had like 400 SKUs at the liquor stores.
Yeah.
So we had a lot. So it was a busy job. But anyway, so I did that, and then like the kids were getting to the age, like I'm moving every 18 to 24 months. You're getting transferred.
Right.
We were going to Connecticut. I got offered a job at their head office in Norwalk, Connecticut. And that's when somebody from Ed McNally's office reached out and
Oh, wow.
said, would you be interested? And, first thing I thought was I could put some roots down.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been here ever since. So it's been
That's
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
So what year was it that you got to Big Rock then?
Big Rock would have been 2008.
2008. So what state was Big Rock in at that time? Because we were talking a little bit before we pressed record here, it used to be almost anywhere in Alberta, there was trad on tap, there was grasshopper on tap. Like it was just like Big Rock was a staple of,
Yeah.
I mean, they've grown, like there's still a huge brewery, but what was Big Rock to you when you first got there?
Kind of coming off of some troubled years.
Yeah.
So struggling a bit, maybe losing its identity a bit, having staff maybe not as engaged. And I don't really know all the history of what happened, but there's probably a reason why they had to make some changes.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got in, it was tough even from like a culture side because I was coming from big beverage alcohol, big beer
Mm-hmm.
to small beer. So I had to get a good understanding of the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a hard transition to go from a big company to a smaller company.
Yeah.
Because in a big company, even though I was on this big brand, a Canadian or export or whatever, you're like one little small part of that, and you
Right.
stay in your lane. You don't do anything else. Whereas you get into the craft breweries or craft dairy processors, you got to do a bit of everything.
Yeah.
So it was a big learning curve there.
Yeah.
But the coolest thing at Big Rock was the staff that they had there that were loyal to that weren't looking. There wasn't other craft breweries back then.
Right.
So like the guys that the team that they had were good, and the guys that made the beer were brilliant.
Yeah.
So anytime you have a good product,
Yeah.
just management and admin just get out of the way, because all you can do is screw it up if you get away from the core messaging, which was the beer.
Yeah.
And
totally.
Ed was in his mid 80s, early 80s at the time, and I learned a lot from him. So he was a good guy to be around, and I really enjoyed being able to work with him.
Yeah. Such a good core group of people. Like I was actually on a podcast a little while ago, and the guy asked me, if there was someone that has been kind of, if I could point at somebody who's really been an important part of kind of my life, or important part of like kind of the culture, the way that I see things. And I was thinking about Big Rock because when we first started doing what we do, Big Rock was a huge supporter of us and always has been. So guys like, Tom, Stuart, Craig, Pete, those guys. But the guy that came to mind was Alistair, who was like the original salesperson, or I would call him the original salesperson.
Yeah,
he would
absolutely
correct me and say that there was one person that probably held the job for 2 days.
Alistair was the man.
Yeah, he was the man. But when you think about the trickle down effect that he's had on people, like so from a sales perspective, he kind of set the tone for how you presented yourself, how you approached breweries, liquor stores, that sort of thing. And that's something that he taught the Tom Stewarts and the Craig Surretts and all of these people,
me included. I learned a ton from
yeah.
him.
And Justin Bieber. And so it's one of those, when you think about someone having such a big impact, and so as a brand, how big of an impact Big Rock has had on our community, and then individually as Alistair, I just think like everybody that he was able to work with learned so much. And you can see when I go into a brewery and I know that somebody or has worked with Alistair, I know instantly, because there's just certain things that he ingrained in you. So when you work with a company like that has such a history in Alberta, and so many people, like you said, that care about what they're selling, it must, I don't know, like, is it like, oh shit, I got a big responsibility here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that, I guess it comes with every job, but you have that imposter syndrome, like, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah.
But for me, I was able to spend a lot of time with Alistair,
Yeah.
a lot of time with Ed, a lot of time with Paul Gautreau,
Yeah.
and a lot of time with Brian Rowland. So Brian ran all the fleet, the warehousing. He was kind of the behind the scenes guy that he was. He's. I hope you meet this guy one day. He's the coolest dude.
Yeah.
And then Paul Gautreau. I don't know a better beer guy than Paul.
Yeah.
And then obviously with Alistair and then and Ed as well, and just
Yeah.
what it means to be part of the community and the difference. So you get all those people around you that care so much about what they've been doing with the business, and then you come in and when I was coming in a fairly senior role, they don't want you to screw up.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can see people that almost got set up for failure.
Yeah.
They were setting me up to win.
Yeah.
And I think the relationship was good, that we'd be transparent with each other and honest. And if I was doing something that they thought might have been steering the company the wrong way, they're going to tell me, and we'll talk it out.
Yeah.
And we kind of always found a way to get aligned and
Yeah.
and figure it out, but without bastardizing the history of the company, forge a new path forward as well. And
Yeah.
and we certainly were able to, with
That's-
some innovation and just some different channels that we went to.
Yeah, that's always the balance. You'd mentioned in your notes that because I'm curious about, I guess, your philosophies on culture and how to connect with like an end customer and stuff like that. But you mentioned in your notes, when you're with some of the bigger companies, you felt there's like a disconnect between the corporate employees and the end customer.
Mm-hmm.
So is that something that you've always been conscious of? Is this like thinking about it from the lens of the end customer, and like how do you do that?
Two different, and I define it. The consumer
Mm-hmm.
is, you walk into a grocery store or scoop shop, buying ice cream, looking
Yeah.
for ice cream. So you need to be appealing, and you need to have a story that makes you want to choose our beer or our ice cream.
Yeah.
But you also have to know what the customer's needs are. So if you're the dairy or the ice cream purchasing person, we need to know what does he or she need to meet their goals as well.
Right.
So you have to understand what both sides, like what the end user, what the consumer, and then what the decision makers are doing. So
Right.
anytime we have a meeting, because everyone, all these brilliant ideas are popping, but if you just say, okay, here's an empty chair and there's a customer sitting in this chair and there's a consumer sitting in this chair, every decision we make, what would these folks say?
Yeah.
And would that pass the test?
Yeah.
And if you're, if it's just, I think it's kind of sobers you up. It's kind of, okay, this is what we need to do, and let's just keep it authentic.
Yeah.
Keep it real.
So just to clarify, because it's funny, we talk about this sometimes too, and sometimes when we're arguing, we realize we're talking about two different types of people. So there's the customer, that's who you're selling the ice cream to. That's like the store, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the consumer. So that's like me and my daughter coming in to get
ice cream,
our favorite ice cream. So that's the difference. Like, because sometimes what we'll talk about is like internally at ABF, I'll be saying, no, like you have to think about it from, and so I'm thinking about it from, I think of my customer, because I deal with the breweries and the restaurants.
Yeah.
And so those are my customers. But then my team is talking about the consumer experience.
Yeah.
So once we clarify, we're like, oh, no, okay, we're both actually right on this. So as long as we're thinking about both of those people and what their needs are, then you're doing it right.
I believe so.
Yeah, I like that. So you mentioned some learning curves in your in your role now, and you've commented a couple times on how, I guess, is it been more challenging than you anticipated?
Yeah.
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 So how do you?
Which is also means it's more rewarding.
Yeah, when it all comes together. I'm just curious how, because you want to create something without blowing what was already there up, and you do talk a lot about culture. How do you build? Do you have a philosophy on how you build culture? I'm curious if it's like, how much is it? How much can it be engineered, and then how much of it is luck as well?
Probably, there's obviously some luck,
Yeah.
but more it's about effort,
Yeah.
and you have to put the effort in. And I think if the folks on your team know that you care as much as they do,
Yeah.
and I think that's it's a good first step. People know if you're BSing them or not. So if just be honest with people. Sometimes depending on your role, you can't share everything that's going through your head or the company,
Right.
but you certainly don't need to lie.
Yeah.
And so I feel that, you know, if you're just truthful with folks and say, here, I'm in it too, like we're all trying to figure this out together.
Yeah.
And, you know, never really act like you're bigger than the team.
Yeah.
And because all those, like nobody owns an idea. Everybody think, oh, that was my idea. But no, it was a group idea. We sit down, like, you know, sit down over ice cream or, well, we're right next to Mugshots.
Oh, nice.
So like awesome chicken wings.
Yeah.
And
100%.
so we a lot of our problem solving happens over, you know, we'll just go next door and have a beer or some wings or something and
Yeah.
kind of shoot the shit about it, and we figure it out together.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big part of it. And then, you know, being consistent. So if you say it, you got to do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, Charlie Seeger was one of my mentors in beer, and he said it's old school selling. And you know, what does that mean, Charlie? Observe, listen, deliver.
Mm-hmm.
And if you say it, do it, type of thing. So if, you know, deliver on what you say.
Yeah.
And I think internally you have to do that as much as you have to do, even more so than externally.
Yeah.
Because if it's a bunch of broken promises for folks, then they're going to stop believing anything I say.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I wish I was on the floor more. As you get to a bigger company, and Foothills is bigger than the breweries than Wild Rose, you don't get on the floor as much, and that's
right.
I got to change that. I got to find a way to be better at that.
And I've talked to mutual friend Justin.
Barber?
Yeah, I always call him Bieber, but my kid's like, you know Justin Bieber? I'm like, no, Barber. But one of the things, so when you brought him on board, first of all, I thought that was just a genius move, because he's just such a you can't help but get excited about what he's excited about. You know what I mean? He's just, but you guys have had quite a history together, because I know I've had him on the podcast, and he mentioned you as one of his kind of primary mentors.
That's cool.
But does that go back to Big Rock years then?
Yeah. Original Joe's actually.
Oh, okay.
So he was at OJ's and big customer of us at Big Rock.
Yeah.
And we had him over for a tour or whatever, a group of them. And I remember giving Derek a call, Derek Doak, and I said, like, this Justin Barber guy stands out, and I need a sales guy.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't want to poach off of, you know, a friend.
Right.
And I go, what are your thoughts? He goes, oh my God, he'd be perfect. He goes, fantastic. I support you 100%. So I reached out to Barb's, and he ended up coming. And then, you know, we had Mark Brooker at the brewery as well. He came, you know, I remember Brooks. I just saw him this summer.
He's a beauty.
And then, you know, you get guys like that on your team. You talk about culture.
Yeah.
Like, they drive culture just by being themselves, and being who they are, and it's cool. So then Brooks and Barber both came to Wild Rose, like huge TSN turning point for that company when those two guys came over. And then, you know, Barb's hung on with Sleeman's for a while, and then tried to do some entrepreneurial and do some other things. But Barb's wife Hannah started working with my wife at Calgary Stampede. So we've had the Barbers in our life since what, I don't know, 15, 20 years or whatever it's been now. So it's been really cool. And then the role that Justin joined us here at Foothills it hasn't really been defined too much yet. I don't really even want to put him in a box. But we need to be better in the community. We need to be better at the food service, at the on-premise side of the business. I think people want to buy local, and they want to support a Foothills, whether it's for their butter purchases or their ice cream desserts. And so, like, just go figure out the lay of the land here first, and then we'll keep on moving. And you know, obviously with Barb's, he made changes. I'm not saying change it for the sake of change, by no means, but just his presence. And next thing you know, we're selling ice cream in every craft brewery in Calgary or what. And we're at these festivals. We're at the comedy festival this weekend, and we're at these events that traditionally dairy never went. And now all of a sudden we're going there, and people have brand recognition, and you know, we're all part of the story, the good time story. And it's working out great. It also makes my job more fun having him around too.
Oh yeah, I know, he's a ball of energy. Like, you got to meet
his kids, man. He's got the cutest kids.
Oh yeah.
They're doing. He's at that stage of his life right now.
Because he had a new was it a boy?
He's got 2 boys
right after starting with you, kind of thing. Hey.
Yeah. It's his second.
He so one of the things I was saying about, because when you bring someone like him on, like, he's disrupting in the best possible way you can use that word, right? So, because he's going to come in and look for opportunities, like, oh, what about this? What about this? So then, from a cultural perspective, how do you mesh those two? Because there's going to be, or the way I perceive it anyway, is like, there's a group of people who are like, well, no, that's not how we do things. That's not how we don't like, no, it's not how it's done. And then you get, a Justin going, well, what if we did this? What if we did this? And so how do you kind of blend those two? Like, okay, we have to kind of respect the way that things are done, yet at the same time, look for new opportunities and look for ways to grow. Have you been able to kind of blend the culture where there's buy-in from the
Oh yeah.
kind of the old team?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we brought too many folks, with Justin's energy right at the beginning, it might not have worked.
Yeah.
Because we weren't ready for that change yet.
Yeah.
And God, remember, this company's been around for 56 years now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of long-term employees, and our average age was 47 at the time. So you're not going to turn things as quick,
Right.
and nor should you, because
Right.
it's doing well.
Yeah.
So I think if too many folks that came from the beer business joined Foothills right away, it would have been an influx and would have been like all Bill's guys type of thing. And
Yeah.
and I think you have a hard
You'd
time.
almost be creating two camps or something.
100%.
Yeah.
You have a hard time gaining trust. So we had to kind of establish and earn the trust, which you're always trying to earn more trust and earn trust. But I think we've done a pretty good job of it. And the key, like, we brought the finance team in from Wild Rose to Foothills, and they're the best in the business. And like Justin is the face of the community events and everything but the behind the scenes folks that came in. I think there's there's 9 folks from Big Rock and Wild Rose.
Oh, really?
At the creamery now.
Oh, that's cool.
Every one of them are studs.
So with him, because I remember, so as soon as he got hired on, I bugged him. I'm like, hey, you got to do the beer festival. And I didn't know if he was actually going to be able to do it, but I had to tell him that. And so I remember meeting him and a couple other people from your team I think we went to Village Brewing. And then he obviously just knows everybody in there. And, so they're kind of like, who is this crazy bastard? But I'm curious, and this is maybe a self-serving question, but one of the things that I'm always interested to know is, with the festivals that we do, why are things like that, doing things like that, important? And this is more to like other people that do the festival. Like, what do you do when you do a community event, or if you do a festival? What is it that you're looking for in terms of how do you define it as a success?
Well, I think before you decide which festivals, now you have to have a relationship and know the organizers, eh?
Yeah.
Because there's some festivals that don't really pan out and they're not great. You also want to know if there's some sort of charitable opportunity for it, and just be around like-minded folks.
Yeah.
I think you determine afterwards if it's a success if you have a lot of traffic and a lot of people got exposed to not only your brand but your products as well.
Yeah.
And was an opportunity for your team to interact with people in the community.
Yeah.
And your festivals are perfect that way. But the problem that I thought when we were at your festivals is that the lineups were too long for our ice cream booth because we're scooping.
Mm-hmm.
And you have people drinking and stuff like that, and no one wants to be waiting in line. So, and that was part of the reason. There's a bigger picture. We have single serve ice cream, 236 milliliter little single serves, and we sell them individually, or we sell them in a variety pack, kind of like with the craft breweries.
Yeah.
But I foresee down the road using those for festivals.
Right.
So, here you go. It's kind of like grab and go.
Yeah.
And we'll keep people moving quicker, not clutter up and block off a whole section of the aisles with the lineup.
So I'm always curious, because I'm always just like, obviously I want to make sure that the brands that do the shows get the highest impact and get the highest value. One of the things with Foothills, and just, because we're comparing a lot of times to breweries and stuff, I feel like ice cream brands haven't done quite as good of a job, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, as creating that brand identity, if that makes sense, right? Like you see, like you might go into like a place sometimes and get ice cream and not know who made that ice cream, right? Or you might just assume that they made that ice cream. You know what I mean? Is that something that you see as an opportunity, is like building that brand equity in the community?
Yeah. And it's kind of like a well drink in the bar business. Give me a vodka, give me a rye, give me all that. Well, give me a vanilla, give me a chocolate, give me a peanut butter, whatever. And so, you want the call brands, and you want people to specifically ask for it. So in, the 450, 500 scoop shops that we sell, we want to get, some awareness tools there. So that was one of the first things we did, was just whether it be A-frames or just the cone. They had the cone core plast forever.
Yeah.
And so you see that on the highway. They've had that going for 20 some years. But just get more of it, and asking, your partners at the scoop shops to put them up, because they don't have to.
Right.
You're going to Joe's scoop shop, well, it's Joe's ice cream. So to be able to convince them, and that's where you have to prove to them that you're partnering with them versus transactional.
Yeah, no, 100%. So just curious, looking at all the, I guess just even people that you interact with, but the people that you've known along the way, or even, looking at, you mentioned like even looking down at the States and other companies, are there leaders, business leaders that inspire you, that are out there that you can think of?
I think I still go back to not necessarily guys with fancy business cards.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's been like an Alistair, like a Paul Gautreau, Brian Smith at Wild Rose. I absolutely love that guy.
Yeah.
A Barb's. Some of the guys, we had a Molson reunion last summer at Sky Dome, and I can't believe some of these guys are just kicking around. Like, they're I was the youngest there. So there's guys like, mid 80s, and we had a blast. Never watched one pitch.
Yeah.
Like just shot the shit. And like I mentioned, like revert back to your old roles. Like I became the summer student again, and go get me a beer, kid, and stuff like that. And
yes, sir.
And we had an absolute blast.
Yeah.
But those guys, for sure. I think from a business leader side, those guys, they would still be the guys I would refer to.
Yeah.
And a lot of them probably could have had bigger jobs, in some of the big companies, but they were just great at what they did.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's one specific major leader that you see in the news all the time. Like, I would like to be that guy. I kind of like the little pieces of all of it. And here at Foothills, he stepped down as our chair. He's still quite involved, but Scott Tanis from Western Investments was our chairman, and it's awesome opportunity for me to learn from him, and just an absolute great guy. I was able to grab a lunch with him yesterday and catch up a bit. So very fortunate to be working with, our entire board.
Yeah.
Glenn Fawcett's on our board. Remember Glenn?
No.
From Glenn used to be part of what's that busing company the Cowboys guys had?
Oh, Jesus. Yes. Bust Loose?
Yeah. Trips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then Glenn's had a couple of vineyards and all that. So he's one of our independent directors.
Wow.
So I get to see him at least, once a quarter, and usually, twice a quarter we'll go grab. But he's always full of ideas too, eh? So he comes from that industry that you always have to be building a brand. So I get to work with him, and then the folks, Jan and Steve from ATB, are absolutely great guys. So like, and they all kind of have different skill sets.
Yeah.
And one of the problems that even one of the breweries I was at, everybody was the same. And they hired you got hired. You and I have a lot of, similarities, like sports, like community, like this. So everybody kind of got under the same resume. We're getting jobs.
Right.
And so you didn't have a variety or a diversity of skill sets.
Yeah.
And so with the company at Foothills, not only do we have a whole bunch of, different points of view and skill sets employees, but our board of directors all bring something different to the table as well.
Yeah.
And just there to help.
And I love that. Like, that's what I think, like a role that you have is that you get to connect with all those different people, and you get to kind of be inspired by
100%.
One guy that you mentioned earlier, but Mark Brooks, he, like, one of the things I will say about him, like, he's the one of the funniest human beings I've ever met in my life. Yeah. But he like, I learned so many things just listening to him. Like, because if you didn't know him, you think this is just a loud, obnoxious guy. If you listen to him, he was one of the smartest guys I met, for sure.
Yes. Yeah. He's in Thornbury.
Yeah.
And my mother lives in Meaford in Ontario, so they're kind of right next to each other.
Yeah.
And I don't know what we were thinking. Let's just go for a quick beer. And it was like 10 beers later type of thing.
Yeah.
And I laughed the whole time.
Oh yeah.
So he's very engaging, but underestimated. Like,
oh yeah.
He knows what he was doing, and customers loved him. I learned a lot from him. So you talk about people that inspire you. Yeah. And so his brother, he went back there when his father was getting sick. So that's why he moved back to Ontario. Yeah. And he was able to be with his dad, for the last couple of years, and he's just loving life there now. He's a ski bum, eh? So he's Collingwood. It's not quite what we have out here, but he's actually he works part time at the Blue Mountain Resort.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, can you imagine him at the chairlift telling you to get on?
Yeah, yeah.
But
Just grabbing you by the scruff and
yeah,
chucking
he
you.
looks great. You know, I think getting out of the beer business, everybody loses a bit of weight,
Yeah.
but he looks awesome. He's doing
Yeah,
great. I
that's
think he's
good.
70 now.
That's crazy. Yeah, because
He's
when I remember what someone was saying,
maturity of a 10-year-old, but he's
yes,
yeah.
100%. Yeah, someone was saying he's moving to take care of his dad, and I just like I was just kind of stunned. I'm like, well, how old was his dad? Because like I'm it's like Mark Brooker being that loud and obnoxious. I'm like, how can you have that level of energy and live to be in your 90s? Like, you know what I mean? You just think, but
He will.
yeah, no, it's impressive. Okay, I'm gonna ask you some. I'll call them rapid fire questions if that's okay
Sure.
with you. I was just thinking of something. Okay, so, one brand you admire for their creativity.
Oh, creativity.
Again, this was rapid fire.
It's hard for me to. I can't answer that one.
Okay, no worries.
Jump in rapid fire. If it's not, if
Yeah,
I think about it, it's
that's
not
true.
true.
Okay, yeah, I'll just go fast then
Okay.
for the next one. So, okay, I know the answer to this, but most memorable campaign you've worked on.
Yeah, I am. Well, a tie. I am Canadian.
Yeah.
But then had X today. Because
Okay.
I got to play a bigger role now on the Molson Export. Had X today instead of had sex today. Had X today. You kind of went down to the lowest common denominator of appealing to a male beer drinker.
Yeah.
And it was just hilarious.
Yeah.
Everybody around that campaign was fun. So
was that before or after
After.
the I am? Oh yeah.
after, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Molson Export's a brand that's stronger in the East.
Yes.
And it doesn't really have any distribution out here.
I always find that weird with
good.
not Molson with beer brands in general is you can go to like Calgary beer, for example, was only available in Saskatchewan, not available in Calgary.
Yeah.
You go to Saskatchewan and you see all these different beers that are big there. Don't come here.
Pilsner's huge. But,
X you go to the East and X is huge and doesn't come here. Anyway, that would be its own kind of like, I don't know. I find it fascinating how it's just like, how would it be that brand resonates so well there and it doesn't get brought to the West or vice versa? You know what I mean? Like, is it just that
cannibalization of like let's say Molson Export and like the Pilsner drinker would have very similar attributes. So if you were to get behind a Molson Export in Saskatchewan, you're probably gonna drop sales of a similar beer, which would have been Pil for them.
Yeah. So it's just cool because every community or every province you go to, it's like very distinctly different brands, which I find interesting. Okay. You're eating ice cream, waffle cone, normal cone, or cup? Waffle cone. Nice. That's the right answer. Favorite ice cream flavor?
Peanut butter, chocolate peanut butter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. If you could launch any flavor that you wanted to, you didn't have to talk to your team. You could launch it like instantly. What would you launch?
I love everything peanut butter. So just super peanut butter.
More peanut butter.
Yeah.
No ice cream, just a big scoop of peanut butter.
Frozen peanut butter.
Yeah. If you could master one skill outside of business, what would that be?
I wish I was a better golfer.
I knew you were going to answer that.
I played men's night last night. I'm horrible.
Where do you play?
I'm getting worse. Oh, at Pritis.
Okay, nice.
I'm just getting worse and worse and worse.
Really?
Yeah.
So your son is in the States, right?
Yeah, senior year. He's at James Madison in Harrisonburg, Virginia.
Yeah, because when we were connecting over the summer, you were down there. Were you driving him down there?
We kept his truck in Ottawa this year because he had a couple tournaments in that area. So we just found a parking lot to store it at, and then drove from Ottawa to Harrisburg. It was like a 9-hour drive.
Nice.
And just like, he's old enough, he doesn't really need us to take him, but it's a 10-hour drive, and shut the way down, and
totally.
See you later, and then jumped on a plane from DC and got home.
Yeah, he doesn't need you, but I'm sure it's nice to have you around.
Yeah, we're pretty close family, so it's nice that we remain that way.
The meals are nicer when your dad's with you on the way down there.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So Foothills 5 years from now, what's kind of the vision for you?
National.
Yeah.
80% ice cream, 20% butter, and just be a nationally recognized leader in the category.
Cool. And then what about for yourself? Where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
I'm 56 and the goal is always at 60. But we're working real hard right now, and I want to be I want to be able to be a part of this company when we get it to where we think it could go. So you never know. Maybe I got 10 years. I'm not too sure, but probably not.
Awesome, man. Thanks for taking the time. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Like I said,
thanks for all you're doing too, because like you support all your festivals. You're supporting different categories. You're the beverage alcohol category, the restaurant category. There's not a lot of CPG categories based out of Western Canada, like consumer packaged categories. So for an ice cream company to have a vehicle to get in front of that many consumers through the festivals, it's cool.
Well, and to have you guys back, having you and Justin and
wait till you meet the whole team. Like there's some really cool cats at this creamery. Yeah.
Well, he told me that I'm gonna be able to bring my kids down there one day, so I'm gonna.
My neighbor's got young kids and they've had a couple tours through the.
Yeah.
You might as well just Willy Wonka.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But no, I love what you're doing with the podcast. When I reimagined what I wanted to do for the podcast, I called it Create because, with all the people that I get to meet, there's just so many creative people in our world, right? And so to kind of get their thoughts and their ideas of where they're doing. So with what you were doing and just the idea that, you were, I don't know if reimagining is the right word, but to me, it's, reimagining such a traditional brand and trying to, and seeing like, it's already successful, like you said, but what more could come from it is exciting.
The thing is like, and I appreciate you asking me what I'm doing.
Yeah.
If there's one thing that I'll take credit for is building a friggin' great team.
Yeah.
And then watch what that group can do.
Totally.
So my job is to put really good people, like good humans together.
Yeah.
It's ice cream. We're not solving the problems of the world or curing, diseases. We're making ice cream.
Yeah.
And we're making butter products. So if you get a whole bunch of really inspiring people together that work with each other, that's my role, is I get them all together. So who knows what they're going to do. It's like you get, a Barb, Steve Geddes runs our sales up out of Edmonton, our sales team, our marketing team, our production team, our drivers. Like, we got so many people, our admin team, our finance team that have ideas.
Yeah.
So my job is to facilitate those conversations and then action what we can action. If we can't action stuff, tell them we can't and why.
Yeah. And why. Yeah.
But that to me is the magic, is just watching these group of people come up with ideas.
But being able to put that together, I mean, it takes a certain person. So obviously that's your skill set, but it's awesome to watch and it's fun. And you get, getting to watch guys on your team watching people do what they're really good at is very exciting. So watching like a Justin just kind of do his thing and just kind of like, it's fun to watch. So
I've been watching him for years.
Yeah.
So it's almost like that's just Barb's being Barb's.
Yeah.
And then, and hey, Barb's was a young guy. He's not the young guy anymore. There's like the new young guys coming up.
Yeah.
And they're, full of energy and real smart folks. And it's just fun to watch.
I always want to see like Justin be a dickhead someday. I've never seen that day though. He's just always like, almost like there's got to be like an edgier Barb.
Yeah, I've seen him mad, but very, very brief.
Yeah,
but he's like, everyone's in a good mood around him too.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah, he brings the energy up for sure.
Yeah,
But no, like I said, you've done great things. I was excited to see everything coming together. So thank you for coming here. You brought ice cream too, so that's an added bonus, but I appreciate it, man.
Bring it home for the kids.
Yeah.
Really enjoy it. Thank you for having me here.
Awesome. Take care, man. Thanks so much for listening to the Create Podcast. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. See you next Wednesday.